Hello again, everyone. The time now is 5:05. I would like to officially start our meeting. My name is Ayabami Bell Torrance, and I am the Outreach Ambassador for Ddot. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight for our monthly community input meeting. A special thank you for anyone that's joining us for the first time tonight. We're going to get right to our introductions, which are in no particular order. And I see Mr. Zek on my screen, so you want to go ahead?
Good evening. My name is Richard Zek. I'm the Chief Safety Officer for Ddot.
Thank you. Chief?
Good evening, everyone. Chief Ricky Brown, Transit Police.
Mr. Patrick?
Steve Patrick, I'm the Executive Manager of Service Development and Scheduling.
Ms. Moore?
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Simone Moore with TransDev, General Manager, Paratransit.
Thank you. Mr. Granger?
Good evening, Robert Granger, Interim Assistant Director of Maintenance.
Thank you. Ms. Williams?
Good evening, Jasmine Williams, Ddot's Customer Service Supervisor.
Ms. Wimberly?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Zandra Wimberly. I'm Assistant Director Administration for Ddot.
Thank you. Mr. Krasinowski?
Thank you. Ryan Krasinowski from Dead End Reporting.
Thank you. Ms. Pittman?
Good evening, everyone. Lois Pittman, Deputy Director, Ddot Operations and Maintenance.
Ms. Walsh?
Good evening, Mary Ann Walsh, Deputy Director, Ddot Administration.
Mr. Tiller?
Hi, good evening. Larry Tiller, Interim Assistant Director.
Thank you. Mr. Payan?
Good evening, everyone. Jose Payan, Principal Graphic Designer and Marketing.
Ms. Lukowski?
Hi, Krista Lukowski, also in marketing.
Okay, I believe, did I miss anyone? If I did, I apologize. You can go ahead and introduce yourselves, but I believe I caught everyone. Okay. Time now for our meeting rules, which are pretty simple. Public comments will take place following our presentation. You are limited to 2 minutes, and I'll announce when that time is up. Please respect that time, and you may be muted for going over. As always, no personal attacks or foul language will be tolerated. I do want to acknowledge that while we did request an ASL interpreter for tonight in a timely manner, we were informed late this afternoon that the service would not be available. Now, we do have alternative accommodation in place with our closed captioning. And as I begin our presentation, I also have a few additional reminders. By participating in this Zoom meeting, you are granting permission for your name, image, likeness, as well as audio and video recordings to be used by Ddot. If you would like to request to comment, use the raise hand feature. And if you're using the dial in only option, phone option, you can enter *9 to serve as that raise hand feature to request to speak or ask a question. To submit questions or comments to Ddot staff, you may also use the chat, and that will be open during public comment. Also, before asking a question or comment, please be sure to unmute your audio, state your name and or your organization, and following your comments, please mute your audio. The November service changes took place on Monday. That means that new schedules are available at several locations, including the Rosa Parks Transit Center, 1301 Warren, at 6 Detroit Public Library locations, including the main branch, also at St. Vincent de Paul and Capuchin Services. The schedules are also updated on the website at detroitmi.gov/Ddot. The Ddot bus tracker, it has officially launched. In case you missed it, you can also download it on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. A desktop version is also available. That's at my.ddotbus.com. Now, we would like your feedback on how it's working for you, so please send it to d.comments@detroitmi.gov. Please remember that masks are required on all buses. We're also enforcing that both operators and passengers wear them while on board. And if you're filing any type of complaint, it's important to please provide the time, the date, and the coach number. Moving on to our updates from Detroit Metrolift. The Detroit Metrolift Transit Service has restored its phone line, so that's good news. Rides can be scheduled by calling 313-208-7363. Service remains available for Detroit Metrolift riders following the Ddot service changes. Detroit Metrolift travels the same fixed route bus area and 3/4 of a mile beyond the last stop, meaning no change to paratransit service. Starting December 1st, Detroit Metrolift will enable a callback feature for riders calling scheduling and dispatch. Callers will have the option of requesting a callback as opposed to waiting on the phone for an agent to answer, and callers will not lose their place in line. That's also great news. And paratransit also wants you a reminder that masks are required to be worn over the nose and mouth by drivers and riders in the vehicles during Detroit Metrolift transport. Boarding will be denied for refusal to wear a mask. If you do not have one, one will be provided. In case you missed it, the EcoLane mobile app for paratransit users that went live October 1st. You have time to check that out. And as always, the quality assurance supervisors continue to go out on the road to ensure continuous quality performance and improvements. Moving now to Ddot recruitment update. Great news that 24 new TEOs were hired between October 4th and November 15th. Of course, we're still hiring, and for more information about Ddot employment opportunities, please visit detroitmi.gov/Ddot. And Ddot is an equal employment opportunity employer. So this is our last community input meeting for 2021. There will not be a meeting in December, but we will be back Thursday, January 20th, 2022 at 5 p.m. That is all the updates I have at this time. Thank you. You can always find more information at our website, detroitmi.gov, again, /Ddot. Also, social media, please follow us, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at RideDdot. It's time now for public comments. I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Kristen, and I will be opening the chat momentarily. Thank you.
Okay. The first hand up I see is Robert Pawlowski.
Good evening, Ddot. My name is Robert Pawlowski. First thing I'd like to start off with is, so as you all know, if anyone did not turn into the news on Friday, Ddot held a press conference regarding the State Fair Transit Center and the proposals to it. First thing, I'd like to personally thank Ddot for inviting me to the press conference, including you, Iobami, and Corey for as well inviting me. It was a wonderful experience, and I look forward to see this transit center take place in the months ahead. But I'd just like to tell the public one thing. I know that tearing down history is not what you anticipated, but I'm also fighting for better of the city of Detroit and Detroiters to have better within their own city. This transit center will be the first step to building back better in Detroit and giving the Detroiters what they deserve and what they have paid for with their paying their taxes to the city. And their tax dollars should be going to something good. Right here, a brand new transit center. You know, a lot of people say, I know there was one interview done that there should be, you know, recreation centers for the youth. Yeah, perfect idea. But, you know, bringing this new transit center and upgrading from what we have currently off of Woodward and bringing it something new and more advanced features and features we did not have before on that property will be just the start. And I'm fighting for better with the Detroiters, and I'd like to get some opinions from anyone. I mean, anyone, what they think of it. I don't bite. I'm a wonderful guy. I just like to get your take on it. If you see me in public, I really would like to get your opinions on this. I'd like to get your side of the story. But as always, I really just wanted to reassure the public here tonight that this is the start to a new Detroit. And I will keep on fighting for you, Detroiters, and everybody within the city of Detroit. But I know this is our last meeting, but I just want to wish y'all a Merry Christmas and wonderful holiday. And I will see you in January. But thank you for the time and opportunity to speak.
Thank you. The next hand up I see is Ms. Rochelle.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to understand how you got the data for canceling the junction, the Claremont, and the Tireman. I know you had hired an outside firm to come in and do the data, but at the time you did the data, it's COVID-19. Wasn't no students going to school, a lot of remote employment was going on. So I'm trying to figure out, was these accurate data? Why nobody went to the bus drivers, asked them who was riding the buses. Let me get to my next thing with the state fair. Now, what if the council vote no on there? What is the next step going to be if they vote no and don't approve that budget? It's a lot of questions on that. Hopefully they will, but what are you going to do if they don't? And another thing, we need a group. We need a focus group ongoing until this state fair transit center is done. Communication with these essential bus riders, the residents. Because if it's not finished on time, you're going to have to transport Amazon people. And what about these essential bus riders? We need to know this. Can we get some data on how you came up with canceling the buses? But give us something, get some kind of transparency here on all these things. I thank you. I'll wait my time to the next call.
Yeah. Yeah, I can you hear me? Yeah,
Yes.
We actually have machinery on the buses called the automatic passenger counters. We have fare box data, but we know how many people ride these buses. And in the case of the junction route, it was fewer than 10 people per day. And the other routes were all around 50 or 70 people. So it was a very small number of people. And we are not ruling out.
What was it before? What
Okay.
was it before COVID? Because those numbers is because of COVID. And you didn't have students riding, you didn't have people that was working because a lot of people did a lot of remote. They're starting to go back now, so those figures are still wrong. You should have.
Yeah, we are not ruling out bringing these routes back. Right now, we simply don't have resources to operate all the service that was scheduled before
and tell
this
me,
week.
with canceling these routes, how many more buses did you get overall to the system?
Well, we had empty, given that we did not have enough drivers to operate our previous schedule, it did not make sense to run empty buses on routes where they didn't carry anybody. So when we go through the comprehensive operational analysis next year, we can always, and when we get more resources, more operators, more buses, we are not ruling out the possibility of bringing back these routes and looking. And when we go through those changes, we are going to look at pre-COVID boardings. We are going to look at pre-COVID activity, and we're going to involve the public. This is your chance to get involved in designing a new Ddot network.
Can you give us a precise time where we're gonna be able to have these focus groups up until?
Probably in January, you will hear something in January about joining these groups and about participating in the comprehensive operational analysis.
Okay, and I wanted to talk on cleaning of the buses because it's only getting cleaned once the buses is turned out at the end of the day. Where is the fun? It's some kind of funding to keep these buses clean, not just when they get to the end of the line and it's over for the day.
I believe we have someone from maintenance here. We have Mr. Granger. Are you there?
Yes. I would like to say not only do they're clean at the end of the line, but at the end of the day, all buses are being fueled and that we do clean them
If
at the end of the day.
tell me this, how can you say that when your unions is saying that's not what's being done? They even done asked you to train them to clean the buses. I mean, I know the drivers and the unions are not lying about.
No, I'm not going to say they're lying. We are short-staffed, but with the staff that we have, we do service the buses at the end of the day, and we do clean them out.
Hello, this is Mary Ann Walsh. I'd just like to remind everybody that we're doing 2 minutes. So if we could answer Ms. Rochelle's questions and then move on to the next commenter, please.
Okay, the next commenter is Samara Hill.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So my question is pretty simple. I'm glad to hear that you guys will have the new schedules posted in several locations. But for those who do not have access to those locations or internet or smartphones, like there are quite a few Detroiters that are dealing with this, will there be paper copies available on the bus? I haven't seen that happen. I haven't seen anything like that in probably 2 years, maybe longer. But when did we stop putting, you know, the bus schedules on the buses for easy grab?
Okay. Hello, this is Mary Ann Walsh. We can certainly take that into consideration. I believe that it was stopped when the pandemic occurred for safety reasons. We have disseminated schedules, as Ayobami said in the beginning of the presentation, and you can also go to those locations, and you can also reach out to me directly, and I'll make sure that we can get copies out to you.
Excellent, thank you. I would like to quickly say that if we're able to pass out masks on the bus, we should be able to pass out schedules as well. I don't see a difference. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next hand up I see is Mr. Burse.
Yes, and maybe when I finish, y'all want to chop my head off. But I'd like to say that I feel like I have been lied to and conned. I've been sick for a while and I had time to lay down and analyze the presentation. And I have a problem with words, things like saying, we're going to reduce, okay, the time from 30 minutes to 60 minutes in order to increase the efficiency, which is a lie. Having been in the life, I know that that's con man language. It's just like, and Mr. Patrick, I'm not picking on you. This is not personal. This is an example. The example is there is 10 or less people riding on the junction, and then you come back and say, it's an empty bus with even more emphasis. Hold it, that's just an example. Don't jump in, let me have my 2 minutes. Okay? And as of yesterday for sure, definitely the new system is not working. I watched the Woodward pull off at 102 at Learner. Okay? The next bus came back, all right, at like 2:04. The schedule says that there should have been Woodward buses on that time at, is it 128 and 148. They never showed up. And of course, earlier in the week, I and several others waited a long time out. Now, and for the record, that's 5 buses that run on Junction, Claremont, and Tireman. and probably just 5 drivers too. And I don't think that's going to make a significant impact, you know, in saying I need 80 or 100 drivers. How much time do I have left since I can't see the clock? Okay.
Do we have, that's time now. I apologize. I was having technical issues. I am back, but that is right on time. I just got notification.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
And I
can
do,
get to that
and I
question?
do, right, and I do want to also miss that, just wanted to let everyone know that the Executive Director of Transit is not on at this time, but will be on later. That was running late. I missed that notification as well to relay that message.
Okay, I would respond that 10 people a day is an empty bus. It's not 10 people an hour or 10 people a trip. It's 10 people in an entire day with 2 buses on that route driving back and forth all day long. So that's about 50 trips a day with only 10 people. So that's like 1/5 of a person per trip. So
How is
that
that
means
50 trips a day? The bus runs one way an hour.
yeah, there are 2 buses on the route, and they make a trip there's a trip in each direction every 30 minutes.
That's a lie. That's every hour.
Okay, Mr.
The
Verse,
junction
your
route
time is up. We're just
scheduled
gonna
every
allow them
30
to
minutes. I'm
respond.
sorry, but yes, it was scheduled every 30
Why is
minutes.
not in
Wait, time is up. We're just allowing for responses. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I don't want to get into a debate, but yeah, that junction route was scheduled every 30 minutes. And we, by not running these 3 routes, we free up about 12 buses to total, or about 12 operators to to drive buses in other places, such as Waterward, Dexter, where there were people crammed onto buses where the buses simply weren't providing the service that was on the schedule. And people, including myself, would walk out to a bus stop not knowing whether the bus would show up. And that has improved very much now because we no longer have so many runs that we can't fill them with the number of operators that we have. So just please bear with us, and hopefully you will notice the service getting more reliable, more dependable, more consistent. That's what the new schedule was designed to do. So just please bear with us, and I hope you notice that in the next few weeks, that the service is getting more reliable and more consistent.
Christian, do we have another hand up?
Yes, thank you. The next hand up I see is James. James. James will come back to you. Renard.
Can I be heard?
We hear
Renard,
you.
is that
Okay,
Go
okay,
ahead.
great.
Yep, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Renard Rashemski. I'm a District 6 resident in the city of Detroit and actually a long-term resident and organizer of the Transit Justice Team. There's a lot of hope that these buses will run on the schedules that were put out and are going to be available, thankfully, at some expanded locations. But I really think that you all need to track that performance as well to see if that's even being adhered to, because there were some hiccups this week as well about that, especially on some routes that I use daily to get to work as well. And me having to use Uber twice in a week, even though I live a couple of bus stops away from I would say about like 10 or 15 bus stops away from work, is one thing. However, here's the thing. Why aren't the indicators working on the transit app lately this week as well? I've noticed that there was an alert saying that they were shut off. And the other thing about this is that wanted to speak on the State Fairgrounds Transit Center. And there's a lot of talk about how it's good for us, how we need this. It was a belated concern. And I want to be on record to say that we've always advocated for restroom access, even for the current transit center, which is not feasible because there's only one stall per so-called gender. Now, we weren't able to have any sort of say in terms of the building and location of where it is. It was set at the Dairy Cattle building. I'm against the idea of the Coliseum being torn down for the reasons for a multi-purpose entertainment center. That needs to be enclosed due to our climate. The other thing is we need to have a health impact study on the emissions that are going to be in the area that riders are going to be subject to with the Amazon trucks, staff cars, the public vehicles, trucks, buses, all of this stuff running on diesel, including fuel. So the question is there going to be a health impact study, and how can that be accomplished? And the other thing is there needs to be some sort of advisory body and group for the State Fairgrounds Transit Center, because when you have Detroiters that are going to be affected by this change with the new transit center, which is encouraging with the design and everything like that,
It's time.
then we need to know.
Okay, would somebody
Did
from
anyone-
DDOT like to
yeah.
respond to Mr. Renard?
Hi, Mike L. Oglesby. Can you all hear me?
We can.
Yes, I'm sorry that I'm late getting in. I was in another meeting, but I was actually simultaneously listening, so I was able to sort of hear what's been going on. The last caller made some very sound comments about the State Fairgrounds as a whole. I think that this may not be the right forum to kind of voice out the overall portions of it. We can discuss the transit portions of that. We did do we went through the Title VI process as we were supposed to, and came up with where the best location for a transit center should be located. As far as everything that is connected to the Coliseum, the health impact, that was all brought up, and I believe in City Council, and I think it's going to continue to be discussed there. What we did do is we went back out and worked with the consultants in the DBA to talk to the public about what they would want the actual transit center itself to look like. What do you want involved in it as far as ADA compliancy, MOGO, scooters? We did all of that. With all of that intake, we took it to build the actual transit center itself. So our focus was the transit center, the circulation of the buses, getting in and out, and making sure that SMART is involved, and restroom access, which we have incorporated also, 24-hour security, you name it, everything that the public mentioned, a majority of it we were able to put in that was affordable. So that I can definitely respond to that part. But as far as some of the other issues about the Coliseum itself and all of that, Ddot is not in a position to indicate what, where, and how that took place. We can talk specifically about transit itself. And that's what we've been sticking to. So again, sound questions, sound concerns. I even brought up some of the concerns that the public has had some issues with. I've mimicked and mirrored the exact same question about the health impacts because I'm familiar with what the health impacts of the transit center itself and our buses will be. But when it comes to the other questions about the trucks in that area and Amazon, that we don't have that information. So hopefully that addresses that portion of it.
James, are we able to hear you now? James?
Was James on the phone or is he?
No, he had his hand up.
Okay. Well, if you
Okay,
can hear us,
James, we'll-
James, I was going to say you can also put your comment in chat as well, and we'll read it.
Mr. Cunningham, you are next.
So I'm gonna try to make this quick. I had my doctor fill out the forms so I can get curbside service, MetroLift. That was put in maybe more than a month ago, and I never got a response. And I didn't want to raise hell about it, but I mean, you know, I had to go out of my way to do that. I have a Medicare card. I've worked all my life, the red, white, and blue card. Also, just so the world knows, now you have to, it used to be valid, your disability pass just for the regular bus service, but now they're making everybody recertify. And if you lost your card, that's inconvenient. And I filled out for that too. And I turned all the paperwork downtown on Warren Avenue, and I never got a response. And inside the chat is 7mercy777 at gmail.com. So if someone can respond on that. Also, without me having to raise heck about it, I would like to get the video of the last 11 meetings. Mr. Steve, you really helped. You did some miracles last time, and I was able to get the video, and I posted on my social media, and I inboxed a lot of people who normally can't, you know, make these meetings. So I would like the last meetings, if they're on YouTube or whatever, the meetings in their entirety, so I can disseminate them. You got to give honor where honor is due. I can't always say that about Ddot, but the State Fairgrounds having a taxi stand is a good thing. Hopefully it's taxi stand, Uber and Lyft, not just Uber and Lyft, but the taxi will be included at the new State Fairgrounds. But I'm glad we do need that in the city of Detroit. What else did I say? Oh, and thanks again, Steve, for the last time, for getting Niabami for getting that video. The chat is open. I appreciate that. No password to get into the meeting. And lastly, this is kind of irrelevant, but you know, right before the rally down at Spirit of Detroit.
That is time, actually.
With
time.
the 8. With the ATU, my tax.
Okay, that is time. We will address. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Simone Moore, are you there to address the MetroLift question?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have actually been processing the applications. It generally takes 21 days for us or less for us to process ADA applications. Any applications that we have received in the office are in the process of being finalized. So I will look for yours. Your full name is Michael Cunningham, right? Cunningham, right? Well, he can't respond. And then I have the email address that was in the chat. So we will respond via email to let you know if we have the application or not, but it does take 21 days. I'm not exactly sure when you dropped it off at the Warren office, but we received the mail from the Warren office twice a week. So it should be here if you took it there.
Okay, thank you. The next hand up I see is Jacqueline Austin.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for my time. My name is Jacqueline Austin. I'm a bus rider. I'm also a disabled person that rides the bus in the city of Detroit. Just a few comments I would like to make. One regarding the comments that are made here during this public meeting are very crucial, very important. Mr. Oglesby, you made a comment regarding that, saying that it may or may not, make sense at this particular meeting. I believe it does, considering the fact that we've made several asks to the department for various reasons for transit on the buses. Also, with that being said, if there are mailers, I have not gotten an email confirmation or anything. I'm still sitting in my mailbox waiting on that from you guys to resolve the fact of user-friendly data so that we can keep on board. We're keeping on board every question, every ask, everything that we've mentioned here today prior to COVID is very important. It is very vital to our service to the community. And also, yes, as far as bus counts and buses, as far as service, well, when you cut service, you can expect 10 people to be riding on a bus. I don't know what that looks like for people that don't ride the bus, but I know what it looks like for me on a daily basis. It's getting ready to get cold. What happened to the shelters? What's going on with all of that? I mean, I've had so many meetings, I'm eking meetings out of my ears for so many times that I've asked prior to you coming here. And with the respect to what was mentioned earlier, please respect us as bus riders. Please respect us. As a matter of fact, please just do it. Just do it. I mean, it's not that hard to do when we've made several asks. It's getting ready to get cold. What am I to do? Are you going to ride past and give me a ride home when there's no bus an hour or two later for me to get home? I mean, where's the servitude in that? And as far as the transit center,
That is
I'm all
time.
for
That is time.
improvement, but I'm not improving for that bus.
That is
center.
time.
First, let me address the first portion of what was stated because I don't understand. At no time during this conversation, and you can take this tape and roll it back, did I ever say that anything did not make sense. As a matter of fact, the only thing that I addressed was the state fairgrounds and some comments about the state fairgrounds as far as our participation in Ddot and some other portions of it. So again, the only reason, one of the major reasons why we are here is because we do respect the riders and we do want to hear from you. I hear your frustration, but I would urge you to not misquote me and then make it appear as if I'm not listening, because I'm right here, I'm not going anywhere, and I am listening. And I've been like that ever since I've gotten here. So again, at no time have I shunned off anything anyone says. As a matter of fact, that's why we have our staff here. We take all input, we take all comments, and we try to figure out how we can work with you to move to the next step. And one of the reasons why we moved forward with these service adjustments is because people were saying it's not working the way it is. So you have some saying it's not working the way it is. You have some saying put it back, but they don't like the way it works. And we are doing the best that we can with the resources that we have. I will also say, again, that this is temporary. And as we push very hard to get more operators, and we are doing a great job, we have a lot in training right now, we'll be able to restore service in certain areas where it's needed, hopefully before it gets too cold. And then we'll continue from there. So again, we're working with you and we're doing this for you. And that's it.
Thank you. We do have a lot of hands up. A couple people have commented that their hands are up in the chat. We see you, we will get to you. The next one up is Ms. Ruth Johnson.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ruth Johnson. Good evening to those who I can see and those who I cannot see. I see some familiar faces. A couple of comments regarding the service cuts that went in effect November 15th. I would ask for you to see us as resource partners and share all data that you use and information you use to make those decisions with us prior to this comprehensive review that Mr. Patronik talked about in January. I think it would also be helpful to share the Title VI equity analysis, because right now I view these cuts as a potential violation of Title VI and the Americans with Disability Act because of the disparate impact on people with disabilities who either use fixed bus or paratransit. Secondly, I would say with the State Fair Transit Center, I would ask that we don't look at whether historic preservation, good air, soil, water quality, safety of pedestrians, especially segregating pedestrian from vehicular traffic, as mutually exclusive. I feel we can have interior bathrooms and good safety, good air quality, preserving history. So I think when we posit and try to say this is either or, it's a disservice. I would also ask for us to work together as internal and external advocates. Mr. Oglesby, I was refreshed to hear that you convey things to other entities within the city, outside the city, but allow us also to be an advocate with you, and so we can speak for ourselves. The third area goes back to communications. Especially without an ASL interpreter, I would ask TOs, DBA, things like that. We define terms, that we give people's first names. I did not catch Mr. Ryan's last name or his position or title, and it doesn't come up in the transcript. So I'd ask again for an org chart. Who are employees? Who are contractors? Ms. Moore, I have no question. You're repping your colors.
That is time. That is time.
This is Rich from Safety. I'd like to speak to some comments. Safety is a priority at the State Fair Transit Center. Tireless work has been put into where our security persons will be located, the angles of sight that they will have, that there's appropriate workspace and sight angles for the transit police, that if DPD needs to come in, they can work properly with transit police. We have looked extensively at how the buses will move into and out of the State Fair Transit Center, that there is proper and safe pedestrian walkways, avenues of ingress and egress through the building. So safety sits at all of the meetings related to the State Fair Transit Center and provides requested information, working with everyone on the team. Thank you.
Ms. Johnson, this is Mary Ann Walsh. I'm Deputy Director for Administration. I just wanted to remark on your first statement about being a partner with Ddot. We absolutely would like to have a partnership with you and all of our transit riders. And I will put my email in the chat to talk directly with you, maybe in the next couple of days on your other requests for Title VI, et cetera. So I will put my email in the chat.
This is Steve Patrick from Service Planning and Development and Scheduling. We under the old schedule, with the number of bus operators that we had and the number of buses that we had available, it was simply impossible for us to provide the service that was printed on the schedule. And that is why we had no choice but to cut the service. As Mr. Oglesby mentioned, we are hiring more operators, but it takes time to train them. It takes time to get them out there. So it will be a gradual thing. It won't be overnight, but we hope to raise the service levels up gradually. And then when we introduce our new network from the comprehensive operational analysis, which you all will have input into, we hope that our service levels will be higher than they are today. And but right now our goal is to put out a service that is consistent, that is dependable, that you can count on when you go out there to catch the bus. And we know there are always glitches at the very beginning of a new schedule. And I admit that we have missed trips, including one that I was waiting for this morning. So I was out there an extra 20 minutes this morning. So we have to get to the bottom of this. We have to find out why trips are being missed. We have to make an effort to provide every trip in that schedule. But it should be a lot better than it was before. I can't promise that we will provide every trip in the schedule. But now Ryan, who was on the screen a little while ago, one of the reports he does is about the amount of the service miles, the percentage of our schedule of service miles that we actually provide on the street. So under the old schedule, it was usually between 70 and 80%. On the new schedule, it will hopefully be close to 100%. That is our goal now, and we can achieve that.
Let me add, if you can, I need to add to that a little bit. Steve touched on some great points, but I want to just kind of emphasize a few things. He mentioned cut service. He meant reduce service. So we did cut 3 routes because they were less than 5 people per hour riding, which is dismal. So it's not really, we look at it as really reducing the service to the amount of operators that we have. Now, again, the reason why we are doing this open and we're telling you and we're putting it all out there is because we are being transparent. When I first came here, I was told that a lot of things were done at Ddot, that they weren't happy with the history and so on and so forth. So I made a promise that as we move forward, I will be transparent. I did not start making these cuts and just service reductions and then the cuts of the 3 routes. I didn't do these service reductions and say, okay, just take it. We had some meetings beforehand. We did input beforehand. We got information from the riders and from the operators, and we use that to move forward. And then there was another mention of where our goal is to make every trip in the schedule. We can't guarantee. What he was saying there is we have operators available for each one of the trips. So we really feel confident, and we have an extra board, which is additional people that can fill in should people call out. But we cannot control the uncontrollable. There are times when operators do call out, intermittent FMLA, so on and so forth. That happens, and then we have to kind of hustle to kind of make sure we're filling the route. So behind the scenes, even though we have the schedule laid out, you do occasionally have some issues. In addition, we work very hard with the Ddot tracker itself, and we're going back and forth with that specifically to make sure that you have something to look at to know where the buses are. And we're still contacting, working with Clever. We're taking input from people. We need your input. So I kindly ask that we respect each other. If you have something that you think you can give us to help us, we are going to take it. But we'd ask that you speak to us like human beings, and we'll speak to you like human beings. I've noticed a lot of frustration that's turning into screaming, name calling. We don't want that. We want to work with you. So I ask you again, let's work together. Our goal is to take your input. We take everything that you say to heart and we put it into what we do. And that's what we did with this schedule. And we're trying to make it work. I honestly think that based on the attraction and some of the things that we're going to work on to try to get some more operators, we may be able to start slowly restoring some of the service that we reduced in short order. We just have to get these operators through. We have 18 operators. It takes 13 weeks to train them. We're going through it. We're doing the best behind the scenes. So I just wanted to put that out there to kind of offset and agree with Mr. Petronik.
Yeah, and I would add also that if you do have a complaint, if you can tell us the route, the day, the time, where you were waiting for the bus, what direction you were going, that kind of information is very helpful. Just telling us that we don't provide this or that isn't very helpful.
Thank you. The next hand up I see is Rochelle Brown.
Hi everyone. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Hi everyone. I'm Rochelle Brown. And I was a student at Wayne State and I graduated, and I'm considered a Wayne State alumnus now. So even though I catch buses to go back to fucking Wayne State and I enjoyed riding buses lately. So since COVID happened, all my classes were on Zoom and stuff. So so my question is how you can improve all your schedules that is happening, especially with COVID looms. And also, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank y'all for having me with y'all. It's a great honor to hear y'all from Ddot. Even though I won't be here next year because I'm about to move to another state soon. So I would like to thank. So I would I would like y'all to have fun, stay well motivated, happy holidays. Continue to do better and do safe. That's all. Also
Thank
have a
you.
great day. Have a great day in the future.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your comments. And you brought something up that's been very difficult for us trying to work on the schedule. You have a point, with COVID and classes being from home, and peak and non-peak's different. I say it all the time. Before, it was the morning was peak and then the afternoon was peak, and you could work around it. But now peak, non-peak is all day because everything's spread out. So again, we appreciate your comments, and we are sad that you're going to be leaving town, but we're going to do our best to maybe if we get the service where it needs to be, maybe you'll hang around. So we're going to do the best we can. But again, thank you for your comments.
Okay, the next hand up I see is Raymond Simpson.
Good evening.
Hello.
May I be heard? Can you hear
Yes.
me? Good evening. My name is Ray Simpson, Director of Community Relations for the Benevolent Honorable Council President Pro Tem Mary Sheffield. Just want to echo the sentiments of a few Ddot writers that I heard earlier. Our office has received several complaints in regards to the root cuts to the Claremont and Linwood. Couple senior residents, apparently the walking distance is not feasible for them. Not sure what type of outreach was placed prior to the root cuts, but yes, our office has received several complaints in regards to those root cuts. The inconvenience more so than anything. I'll yield my time.
Is there somebody from Ddot that can respond right now, or shall we take the comment down and get back to the caller afterward?
I think we should take the comment down and get to the caller afterward. It seems like there's a little more to it as far as we'll need more information, specifically what, where, and when, what the distances are, because when we took into consideration that other routes were in walking distance, it really depends on where you are and where you're trying to get to. And if we get some more specifics, that'll help us moving forward.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, Christian, the next caller.
Thank you. Next hand up I see is Mr. Tansley.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for the time tonight to ask my question, or a couple questions. So I just wanted to get a better idea for where we're at with the driver mechanic recruitment, or the labor shortage Ddot is experiencing. I saw in the presentation it said 24 new DEOs. I'm not really sure what that meant. I was kind of assuming that meant operators. But where are we at as far as for getting to a point where we can start restoring service? How many more drivers do we need at this point? And I understand that there's several that are being trained currently. So like, given those numbers, where are we along that process? Additionally, I wanted to ask about the data and information upgrade. Where are we at with that? I know you talked about the mobile app being unveiled, but where are we at as far as for the rest of that? And is that connecting to other apps properly as we intend them to? Another question I have are, what are our current performance metrics? I've heard a couple of other performance metrics mentioned in this call, and just wanted to get an idea for what we're measuring our performance by. And then lastly, when are we meeting to discuss the ARP funding and other federal funding? Is that also going to be in January when we have that service overview, the set of meetings start? And that's all the questions I had. Thank you.
Okay, well, what we're doing in January is we're presenting some concepts to redesign the system, trying to get your feedback. And also one approach is to start with a blank slate, and another approach is to start with the network we have now and make adjustments to it. So we'll probably end up with something in between, because we know there are some routes that will probably always be around in their present form, and there may be other routes that we might have to reconfigure to make them more useful to people and increase the ridership. So the goal is to have a system that serves the city that we have now, not the city that we had 50 years ago. So we look forward to your involvement in that. So please just watch out for opportunities to participate. We might even have a chance to have some in-person participation in addition to what we're doing online.
Thank you, Steve. I'm gonna take a few of these, and then I'm gonna pass it to someone in HR and/or administration to talk about how we're addressing the labor shortage. As far as ARPA funding, the caller is absolutely correct. The goal of that funding, which was $51 million, is to put together buckets and give people an opportunity to add to the buckets and have a diverse dialogue. Again, I would like to jumpstart that. My goal was to jumpstart that in December, maybe even earlier, but in December. But we have a lot going on, and then moving forward with the comprehensive operational analysis, some of that information blends together. So we're still in the process of trying to figure out how that's going to be. I want it to be in December at the very latest. It'll be in the ARPA fund discussion will be in January at the same time as the COA. So that's the latest, but we have two things going on there. The reason why it's a little confusing is because when we started putting the buckets together for everybody to have the discussion, it was clear that the amount of money required was much more than $51 million. And then while we're putting that together, we have this infrastructure bill that just came out. So there may be an opportunity to also meld that in. So my thought is to have the full conversation about what everybody wants. And then once we come up with it and we see where the 51 million falls in, we start looking to see if there's infrastructure funding available to fill out the rest. But ultimately, it's going to be built by you, the user. We're just putting together the base. So again, our goal on the ARPA funding would be to jumpstart it in December, at the very latest January, simultaneously with the comprehensive operational analysis. I'll let staff talk about the metrics piece, and I'll let staff talk about the TEO piece.
This is Mary Ann Walsh. I can talk about the hiring piece. We are hiring. Please spread the word. I know Mr. Oglesby makes a point at every public appearance he makes to make sure that the word is out, that Ddot is hiring. We also, the city of Detroit had a large job fair on Friday. It was covered by the news, letting everybody know that yes, we are hiring. We are pleased at the performance that we had in September, October, and November. We have a few dozen people in training right now. They should be hopefully in service in January and February. As Mr. Oglesby mentioned, it does take 12 to 13 weeks to train drivers to be safe drivers on our Detroit streets. Also, we are very hopeful that after the seasonal drivers that are gainfully employed right now with all of the local, not even local, all of the delivery services, that while they're seasonal, they'll be available to be permanent drivers, perhaps for Ddot. So we do have campaigns going on, incentives being discussed, incentives being applied that we hope to continue for not only recruitment, but for retaining our existing staff. Thank you.
And also, good evening, everyone. This is Lois Pittman, Deputy Director, Operations and Maintenance. I would like to also piggyback on what Ms. Walsh was talking about, because I believe Mr. Tansley did mention mechanics as well. We are actually, I'm working with my vehicle maintenance training area to actually work with the local vocational schools in Detroit to have partnerships with them to actually have a kind of a work share type program put together for the apprenticeship, the apprentice mechanics. So we're looking into things like that so that we can get as many people as we possibly can, get them young and get them in. So there are many things that we're trying to do to get also more mechanics in. Thank you.
This is Rich from Safety. Safety has partnered with the Ddot training department to provide some much sought after bus operator training programs for our big bus operators. They've been asking that for a while, and Safety was happy to partner with them and find the means to get that. The training program was delivered just in the last week. So our training department will be diligent about how they mold this new type of training and specific operating behaviors, 18 specific operating behaviors into what they train the operators on now. And what this training will allow us to do is to have our TEOs, otherwise, you may know them as bus operators, to become safer and more efficient out in the field. And also, just as as Ddot is looking to hire more TEOs and mechanics, Safety is also looking to hire more frontline service guards, which are security guards, senior service guards, and also safety personnel as well. Thank you.
As a matter of fact, I have to jump in here. Thank you, Richard. To tell you the truth, we're hiring for everything. So if anybody's looking for a job, you need to go on to www.ddot, right, DetroitMI.gov, go into the transportation section, see the list of positions. I mean, we have everything from customer service reps to service guards to, I mean, we have a lot of positions. We have a lot of opportunity, and it would be great to have some of our transit advocates that are looking for an opportunity to help us jump on board. So they're there, take a look.
And again, this is Mary Ann Walsh. We will put our website in the chat for you to share or use yourself. Thank you.
Okay, the next hand up I see is L. Williams. L. Williams.
Oh, hello. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna try to get through a lot of these different things. I was writing them down. First, someone had mentioned about the buses and as far as their cleaning. And I agree with them to a point because I am still getting on the buses, noticing that most of the older buses with those cloth seats are still stained. The newer buses with the plastic, of course, those are easier to maintain as far as keeping them sanitized, but the buses are still pretty dirty. And now the other issue, some of the drivers have started implementing wearing the mask like they should. There are still some that refuse to wear their masks. I've seen them talking with other passengers, no mask. And there aren't masks on all bus lines. There's been quite a few of the bus lines I've been on. They don't have masks available to even hand to someone. And yes, passengers do take more than one. So I don't know how to avoid that, but I've seen them do it over and over again. And for the other part of the with the bus tracker, has it been updated that it's more accurate? Because the old system used to will show different times. With this one, it just showed whatever time I try to see when the bus is coming. If there's nothing there, it just says it's not available and there's no other alternative times. So I just wanted to know if that's going to be a little more updated. And did I misread the information from Ddot that when you was talking about the routes, doesn't it say it's temporarily suspended? It doesn't say cut completely. It says temporarily suspended, or that it's not going to be over. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments about the mask. Safety has just spoken again about the masks and the need for our operators to wear them. It is a FTA mandate to wear masks in public transit across the U.S. I myself went on a union safety inspection this past Wednesday morning, and there are at least 2 boxes of masks in each of the bus when they pull out of the barns in the morning. Now, I will say it is valid that some individuals that come onto the bus do take more than 1 mask, which is not right. It is not fair. We allow the customers to come on and take the mask. I'd much rather have the operators have both hands on the wheel instead of handing masks while they're driving or doing other things. They need to have their eyes and ears on the road. But safety can go and work with vehicle maintenance and other folks and determine how we can keep that inventory of masks up. But I do believe it is valid that if a route is busy or if individuals take more than 1, that an operator could run out of masks to provide. So yes, I believe that is a valid point, and it's a difficult situation and one that safety will work with vehicle maintenance on to figure out how we can best address it.
Also, I'd like to address the comment about the stained and dirty buses. I do apologize for that. I will be working and speaking with my vehicle maintenance team in regards to doubling our efforts to make sure that these buses get out on the road and clean and sanitized for our passengers. So I think in the future, if that does happen and you're on a bus that is dirty, if you could, maybe call into customer service with the bus number, the route, and the direction, and so that we can address that particular terminal. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, and let me continue on that part. The old buses that you're referring to are the 2010s, and they're actually up to be replaced. We put in an order for 28 new vehicles. Once we do, we'll start reducing those being out there. I believe I know what you're talking about when you say stained, and Lois, we'll talk about it later, but even though the bus may be clean itself, because it's cloth, that dingy look, the only way to get rid of that real dingy, nasty look is to either try to shampoo it, remove it, or just get that bus off the road. So my goal is just to get the bus off the road. I appreciate you for bringing that up because that's been bothering me. The other thing I appreciate that you brought up is the operators wearing the masks. I've been hearing about it. And the past few days I've been driving around and popping up on some of the operators. And one of the operators actually told me I don't wear a mask anymore. So they told me that.
Yes.
Think about the grays and issues that I'm dealing with. So, we're going to handle it, and we're going to make sure that we work with the union to let them know that we get it out there. To put your mask on. It's not fair for me to tell you you have to wear a mask and then they drive around behind the barrier with the window down on top of it. Okay, so I get it. As far as the tracker goes, I know everybody is using the transit app, and there's been some issues there. The reason why we had issues there is a third-party application. It's an application. Right. So the transit app itself, the transit app is one that we want to make sure we link into because it's used by other entities, and you can go in and I think for the entire city, I think it's a good thing. We're going to get there. But right now, y'all need to know when the bus is coming. So that's why we have a thing called the Ddot tracker that you can download on going to your Play Store and put in Ddot tracker, and that tracker itself, which is separate, actually is linked directly to our GPS on clever devices. So if you don't have that downloaded, try that one. And I think they can probably put it in the chat room too. And we've been working over the past few days to get this right. We're doing it quick because it's getting cold. We change things up on you, so you need to know where that bus is. If you can't figure it out from a schedule standpoint, you need to be able to look at that tracker and see that bus. We have a lot of staff tracking it to make sure that it's on point. So if you see something wrong with it, I need you to call in. I need you to say, look, tracker is off. I looked at this time, the bus was there. It disappeared, then it showed up again. So then we can talk to the provider. Excuse me for a second. So you got me all choked up. I got so excited. I can't take it anymore. I'm gonna get off.
This is Marianne Walsh,
Okay.
while the executive director gets some water. Just going to make one quick comment. I saw a couple of comments about metrics. We did have some systems flaws, and we realized that we are obligated to post on our website, and we will be doing so tomorrow. But we do have 1 month that we do need to research the numbers due to the system flaw that we did experience. So please be on the lookout for those tomorrow.
Okay, the next hand up I see is a phone number ending in 493. Phone number 493. Okay, we'll come back. Says you're unmuted. Okay, we can come back. Barry?
Good evening, everyone. I trust all is well. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, good evening.
Okay, my name is Valeria Berry. I'm a citizen of Detroit. I love my city. I've been here all my life. I have not ridden the bus in years, but I do help others. I called in because I work in mental health, and so a lot of our consumers take the bus. I also have concerns for the citizens, for the senior citizens. I heard that you were canceling the Junction, Claremont, and Tyerman routes. I wanted to just suggest one route that you can cancel, possibly in place for the Claremont, would be the Livernois route, because it's a very slow route. It's not a very largely traveled route. I asked for the Claremont because where I live by the Packard building, we have a young lady back in 2019 who was attacked, and that bus takes her to where she needs to go. By the Packard building, the people will not have any other bus route to get to. The Mount Elliott, the Van Dyke, it's further away in walking distance. The Claremont is right there, feasible. I don't want to see another person attacked. I know that funding is very hard. It's difficult right now for everyone. But if we could keep those 3 major routes, it will be greatly appreciated, and eliminate routes such as your Livernois. It's not well traveled. It's very light. And even though you may have just 10 people on these routes, those routes are important to those individuals because they can't get anywhere. They can't get to the next available route. I want to also say, if we don't pour so many millions into the Woodward, to the state fairgrounds, you can pour in a couple of $100,000, but not the millions, and be able to utilize that funding to pay for drivers. Also, if we could, I lost my track of thought. I'm so sorry. But if we can do those things, it will be greatly appreciated. Just suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm back, and thank you for your comments. I want to state something because it seems like it's getting past people. I say it a lot, and maybe I need to say it at different times over and over again. Right now, we have an operator problem because we don't have enough operators. It's not because we don't have the funding. I have the funding for 510 operators. I have a little over 400 operators. So I have the funding for 90 operators right now. So it's not a funding issue. So it really doesn't matter what happens with the state grounds or anything else. I have the money. The problem is we cannot get the operators. Also, with that being said, if we can't get the operators and we cannot provide the scheduled service, we have to scale the service down. I could leave the scheduled service the way it is and then not make time points and not make routes, and you won't be able to get where you need to go. That's what was happening before the 15th. We've changed that. Now we have to hone it, and we have to perfect it and then expand outward. And then the comment of 10 people, I feel you. I understand 100%. It's 10 people, but it's 10 people that need the ride. But I just told you I do not have the resources. So we have to make those hard decisions. Do we take resources from a route that only has 10 people and put it somewhere with the exact same people that need to get to their important schedules, to the hospitals, for the dialysis, to class, everything else? There are people that are saying to me on the other routes, you need more resources there. Again, we're doing the best that we can, but once we get a few more operators on board, we'll be able to restore the routes. It's not a financial problem. It is not financial. I just want to make that clear. We are trying to get people, we're trying to train them. There's a process, and we're trying to maintain them. And hopefully that addressed that.
This is Mary Ann Walsh. One more thing to add is that this is not a Detroit or a Ddot problem alone. This is an industry problem. This is a country problem. We are experiencing issues hiring all over the country for drivers, for mechanics, for all positions. So it is not just something for Detroit or Ddot alone.
Thank you. Phone number ending in 493. Can we hear you? I'll try again. Okay. Jacob Graham.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Jacob Graham, and I live by Belle Isle. I regularly ride the 5 and the 9 and the 19. My comment, and this is echoing a couple other comments about tracking the buses. I really like the transit app, and I know a lot of people who really like the transit app. And I see in all of the transit app stuff that Ddot is a huge percentage of the transit app's usage in the city. That the most people use the transit app for Ddot as it is right now. There's more Ddot users on the transit app than there are smart users or Mogo or scooters or whatever. Ddot's the biggest user of the transit app. So I guess I just really hope that Ddot can continue to try and partner with the transit app and make it easier for us riders to track the bus and know where the bus is. Thanks.
Fantastic. Great comments. I agree. I think the transit app is the way to go in the future of all transportation in the city of Detroit. The transit app is a third-party application. We were having some tracking issues with that third party. We are going to be working with them but for now, we have to give people what they need now. So we're giving you an opportunity with the Ddot tracker while we simultaneously link into the transit app, because typically at most places they have their own app and then they link into the transit app. That's how it is usually around the world. So we are still doing that. There's a lot to it, which I won't get into, but the partnership requires funding. So I have to figure out some additional funding to be able to play nice with the transit app, apparently, and we're looking into that right now. But for now, today, we want to give you something to track so you can get to where you need to go. I don't want you to wait around a couple of weeks or a couple of months until we figure out the issues with the transit app. We've been having some problems for quite some time. Thank you for your comments. We're not getting rid of the transit app. We're going to run them both, and eventually they'll both have the same information. And then you can decide which one to look at, or you have both as a resource.
Okay, this is Mary Ann Walsh one more time. Chief Brown, I believe I saw you turn your microphone off at one point to say something. I'm not sure if we missed what you were going to say, so I'm giving you this opportunity if you have something.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh.
No, I really didn't. I'm just listening to all the comments, and my only comment is that they already touched on it. This is a nationwide issue regarding hiring. We're actually dealing with, my officers went through mental health training. We're dealing with an environment right now where there are significant members of our society who no longer want to work, no longer want to be professional when they're at work. And these are things that contribute heavily to the lack of personnel and people that we can acquire and train and keep. We want professional people servicing our customers. That is what we're striving for. You'd be amazed how many people we have to go through to find one or two people that we can rely on and count on to properly service Ddot, transit police, every other industry you can imagine. So just understand we're doing our best to acquire the quality type people that you deserve, you need, and you want. That's all I want to say. Thank you. Happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks,
All right,
Chief.
well, I think
Was
that this was a, oh, sorry. I think this was a great discussion and it was a very robust meeting. I'm pleased to see so many people commenting and interacting with Ddot tonight. Ayobami, I apologize, didn't mean to interrupt. Please take it away.
No apologies at all. I was making sure that was the last person, and I was gonna ask, did anyone want to make, as far as staff, make any closing remarks? So the only outstanding commenter is the number 493 that we can't seem to get. If we want to give this caller one more chance, maybe we can get him.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. Yes.
There we go. Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. Hi, it's Patty Fito, guys. I don't know. Something's not connecting tonight. I got a bunch. So I would like to know what the timeliness has been this week. I'm concerned about that we won't have a return to service soon if we're not hitting 100% when we're coming out of the gates. I'm wondering about the real-time bus information because I called when I saw the transit app wasn't working. Customer service said the only way I could get that information was by calling them and that they didn't have it at the time. That was on Monday. Smarts, I'm concerned about the fast buses, whether they're going through the transit center or not, because it seems like it would slow them down, and it seems like it'll slow down some other buses. I still haven't heard what those times are. And I know you said that there's 24 new drivers coming online. That's great, but how many have we lost since Labor Day? The dashboard, as you said, hopefully we'll be able to look at that tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. And we mentioned how, it's not an issue of resources. I couldn't agree more. That's why we need to pay our drivers more like every other transit system is doing, and all the bonuses that are everywhere. And that's how people are hiring these days. And I'm hoping that the COA, after it's finished, the system will be good enough that the mayor will regularly ride instead of trying to pretend like it doesn't exist. But anyway, any thoughts you have? Thank you for having the meeting.
Hi, Patty. This is Mary Ann Walsh. I did get your email about the tracker, and I do believe that we did discuss that this evening. So hopefully, hopefully that was touched upon. As far as people that we're losing in training, you're right. We hired quite a few over September, October, and November. And we do lose people in training. They realize that it's a very difficult job. Driving a bus in the city of Detroit, and in any city, is one of the hardest jobs you can have. I will get you those exact numbers, but I believe we hired between September and October 18, and I think we still had 12 in class over those 2 months. We just put 8 in class on November 15th. I am going to hope that we can retain as many as possible. We're throwing everything we have at these classes. As our chief safety officer just mentioned, we did purchase a new training program called TAPCO, which is used throughout the industry, and I've used it in my career. It's been very successful. It gives drivers the confidence that they need to be able to be successful in this role. And we will continue to recruit, and we'll continue to try to retain as much as possible.
It looks like we have a minute or so, so let me try to tackle some of that also. Very good job, Mary Ann. You basically touched on everything. I will just simply say that, we're dealing with we have a union. We did a union contract. We did negotiations. Those are where they are. I will say that I do agree that there are opportunities, and we are exploring them as far as opportunities, hiring bonuses, signing bonuses, referral bonuses. One of the things that I have to take into consideration, really think about, is I don't want to come up with these hiring bonuses and all these opportunities for people coming in without trying to find a way to take care of the operators that we currently have. What you may not know is we currently have a incentive in place right now for our existing employees. So we are doing something. I know some people think we're not doing anything for them, or maybe that's the rumor. That's not factual. Right now, we have an incentive in place for the operators until December. It's attendance based, which is great because now our attendance is good. So then therefore we have the opportunity to kind of see how in a real-time status, how our new service is going to be set up. But yeah, we are looking at other options and opportunities. We're actually talking to the RTA and working with SMART to try to see how we can both do something similar. As far as the fast bus, it was stated during the state fair information that the fast bus will serve the transit center. It's in the early stages. We've planned it, we've mapped it out. And we're going to work hard to make sure that it happens. So it has been stated. I don't know what more you're looking for, because right now we don't even have the schedules for our own buses because we're in such early stages. But we do plan on, after our initial analysis, our bus headways will not be affected. And FAST told us that theirs wouldn't. Should you have some concern, you can easily call SMART, and I'm sure they can give you that information. But yes, they are going to be servicing it. So,
Mr. Oglesby.
Yes.
Chief Brown, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just want to respond. I'm not great at this chat room stuff. And this is piggybacking on what you're speaking of. Someone in chat quite vehemently said people do want to work, but not for low wages. And they don't realize when we're dealing with public service, like transit, police work, and things like that, this is a totally different place to work. It has not a lot to do with wages. Everybody wants higher wages, yes. But when you're dealing with the public, that takes special people. Not everyone is willing to do that. Not everyone wants to do that. So that is why we say it is difficult to hire people for our industries. And it doesn't have a whole lot to do with wages. I want a raise too. So look out for me, please.
No, wait a minute now, Chief. We're going to talk after this. I don't want to hear all that right now. But yeah, I know, no, absolutely. And it's very simple to say, listen, why don't you just give them more money, right? We have a union contract. There's something set. There's something that can be done outside, and that goes towards, again, we start talking about the hazard pay, the bonuses and all that. We are entertaining that, but that still doesn't fix the permanent concern and problem. Truth be told, most operators are not making as much as I think they should make, and this is in transit industry everywhere. I think they deserve more. And hopefully on the next union negotiation go around, we can do something about that, because I can come up with all type of temporary scenarios. But to the last caller's point, we need to start looking at what we can do to show that the operators are frontline employees, and the mechanics, and all the other positions, and do the right thing by them. So we're trying to do a lot in a small period of time. We're trying to fix years of some issues very quickly. Again, be patient, continue to bring up the topics. But remember, when you bring up the topics, if we answer them and you feel satisfied, I don't know if it's necessary to say it over and over again, because it's not going to change the answer. But we will tell you that we're being honest, clear, straightforward, and we're going to continue to give it to you straight.
All right, Ayobami, with that, I think we can wrap up this meeting at 6:34 p.m. right now.
You called it. That's literally what I was going to say. And say thank you. I think you wrapped it up well. Thank you all. We'll see you next year. Again, there's no meeting in December, so January 20th. But as always, feel free to provide your input along the way. You can email or call. Everyone have a great night. Please stay safe.